Thank you for joining us. Welcome to LumioseStation.
Hello and welcome to Pokémon DataDex with me, TheOneIntegral. The Pokémon we're looking at today is Gliscor. Gliscor is a Fang Scorpion Pokémon and is number 472 in the National Pokédex. It also features in the Mountain Kalos Pokédex, being number 116. Gliscor is a ground flying type that was first introduced in Generation 4. Gliscor's height is listed at 6 foot 7 inches or 2 meters, however this could also be its wingspan, we don't know as the game doesn't actually specify. It also weighs 93.7 pounds or 42.5 kilograms. Now the only egg group that Gliscor is in is in the bug egg group, not really one you'd expect it to be in since it's not actually a bug type. Gender ratio wise, it's 50% male, 50% female, so you have an equal chance to get either gender. Now Gligar will evolve to a Gliscor when it's leveled up at night while it's holding a Razor Fang, so it's sort of a 3-part evolution. It has to be leveled up, has to be at night, and it has to be holding a Razor Fang. Taking a quick look at Gliscor's base stats, we can see it has high defense rating and a fairly high attack and speed rating. However, its special attack is very low indeed, so as we look a bit later, you don't really want to be using any special attacks with Gliscor. Being a ground flying type, Gliscor resists fighting, poison and bug type moves. It's weak to water and ice type moves, and you have to bear in mind there it's 4 times weak to ice type moves, so you have to be very careful with ice. And it's immune to electric and ground type moves. The rest of the types just do neutral damage to Gliscor. So we see here it has, it's got a few resistances, hasn't got all that many weaknesses, and it has 2 immunities, which is pretty good for a Pokemon really. So it has generally a good typing, I'd say. Gliscor has 3 abilities available to it. The first is Hyper Cutter, which prevents other Pokemon from lowering its attack stat, and its other ability there is Sand Veil, which boosts its evasion in a sandstorm. Its third ability is its hidden ability, which is Poison Heal, which restores health points if the Pokemon is poisoned. Now you can obtain this hidden ability in Pokemon X and Y by finding a Gligar in a Horde battle on Route 19. If you didn't know, in Horde battles there's a slight chance that one or more of the Pokemon will have the hidden ability, so it's really just a case of capturing one and hoping it has the ability. If it doesn't, go find another one. So overall, Gliscor has a good spread of abilities really, 3 abilities there to choose from. They're all good in their own way. Poison Heal is definitely the best in my opinion, but Hyper Cutter can also be very helpful. Now moving on to the move section, where I've picked out some of the moves you'll definitely want to either use with Gliscor or at least learn for the time being. Going down the list we have Acrobatics, which it learns at level 22, which is a very good flying move if you're not holding an item. We'll go on to this in more detail in a minute. You can also teach it Acrobatics by TM, but it does learn it at level 22 anyway, so that's a good stage to learn it there. Then at level 30 it will learn U-Turn, which is a helpful bug type move for switching out in competitive matches. Again, it can learn this via TM, but it does learn it leveling up anyway. Then at level 50 it can learn Sword Stance, which obviously raises your attack sharply. Yet again, you can teach this by TM too, but if you haven't got the TM yet and it's level 50, you'll obviously get the move then. Moving on to the TMs, starting off with TM06 Toxic. I'm sure you know what Toxic does, it badly poisons the opponent. Every Pokemon that can learn TMs can learn this move, but it's always good to have it on a Gliscor. Following up Toxic we have TM17 Protect, which is going to be helpful when we look at our Wi-Fi battling setups a bit later on. Then TM19 is Roost, which is a flying type move which heals your health points. Again, this is going to be featured in the Wi-Fi battling, so you'll definitely want to think about teaching it to your Gliscor. Then at TM26 it can learn Earthquake, which is a very powerful ground type move, which we'll definitely be wanting on Gliscor. And then finally we have TM90, which is Substitute, which is used in 1 or 2 of the setups in a minute. Substitute, if you didn't know, sort of sacrifices some of your health points to put up a barrier or a dummy that will take some of the damage for you. Finally, the last move here is learnt from the Move Relearner, and obviously you have to pay a heart scale for this, and that is Ice Fang, an ice type move, and that can be very helpful for Gliscor to learn also. So moving on to the Wi-Fi battling setups now, the first one we're looking at features mainly on the Poison Heal ability and stuff. Moveset, the 4 moves you want to teach it are Substitute, Toxic, Protect or Roost and Earthquake. Obviously, Earthquake being your main attacking move or your only attacking move, Toxic being there for backup if you want to poison the opponent, Substitute being there so you can sort of set up your wall or damage taker, and obviously Protect or Roost is then there, so once you're behind a Substitute, you can either, obviously Protect is then helpful, but if you've got a Substitute set up, you can use Roost to safely heal some more health points, and pretty much just restore the health points you got from using the Substitute. The ability you want for this, as I mentioned just now, is the Poison Heal ability. The nature you're going to want for this setup is an Impish nature, as that increases your defense while lowering your special attack. As I mentioned when we're looking at base stats, you don't really want to be using special moves with a Gliscor, so we're already using Impish there as the nature. And the held item needs to be a Toxic Orb, so we can take advantage of that Poison Heal. If you didn't know, the Toxic Orb automatically poisons the Pokemon after the first turn, and obviously then the Poison Heal will start to heal your Pokemon, much like Leftovers would, but it's an eighth of the Pokemon's total health points, so it's pretty good. The EVs, you then want to put maximum EVs in health points, maximum in speed, and then the rest just put in defense. So then we have, a very high health points Pokemon, a very fast Pokemon as well, and then obviously you can just put the rest in defense, and obviously combine with Impish nature, that's going to help up your defense quite a bit. So then the thing you want to do really in this battle, with this setup, is just go into battle, set up your Substitute because you're going to be faster, and then you can, the turn after, you could go for a Roost or an Earthquake, depending on what your situation is, or you can go for a Toxic, because you can safely do that behind the Substitute, and obviously since you're faster hopefully than the opponent, unless the Pokemon is very fast you're facing, you can then use the Substitute again, and then use a Roost to restore your health points, and last out the opponent. The second Wi-Fi battling setup we're looking at here is similar but slightly different. The moves you want to have are Earthquake, Toxic, Ice Fang or U-Turn, and then Roost or Protect again. The ability again is going to have to be Poison Heal, nature again being Impish, and the held item yet again being a Toxic Orb, so you can take advantage of the Poison Heal. EVs this time will put maximum health points, maximum defense, and the rest in speed. This setup is really looking at staying in there, having a high defensive Pokemon so you can sort of last the attack rather than being faster and outspeeding the opponent. Again, you notice this time we don't have Substitute here, since we're not really looking to use the Substitute to our advantage. We're just looking to sort of survive the opponent's move, then get there with an Earthquake or an Ice Fang or possibly a U-Turn if you want to get out of the battle. And obviously then you got Roost or Protect there again if you want to last the Pokemon out. You can always use Toxic and then use Protect to try and stall the way out of the battle. The final Wi-Fi battling setup for this episode, we're looking at sort of an Acrobatics setup. You want to have Acrobatics obviously, Earthquake, Swords Dance and Substitute. The ability here needs to be Hyper Cutter rather than Poison Heal, and that's the one that doesn't allow your attack to be reduced. And nature this time needs to be Adamant, which instead of sort of putting up defense, actually increases your attack and decreases your special attack. Again, that doesn't really matter because we don't want to be using special attack here. So the physical attack is increased, which is obviously what we want. And then the held item, for Gen 5 it was a flying gem, although to my knowledge you can't actually obtain the gems quite yet, or at all in Generation 6. I don't quite know what the situation is on that. So really the held item needs to be nothing, because that's sort of what Acrobatics takes advantage of. Acrobatics will deal more damage if you have not got a held item. Then your EVs, you need to put maximum attack EVs, maximum speed EVs, and put the rest in defense. So here we're looking at a very fast and very strong Pokemon to jump in, use an Acrobatics to get that boost with the no held item, and then also being faster because you're max speed, jumping in there, using a Substitute if you want to sort of stay and use a Swords Dance, so pop the Substitute on, use a Swords Dance or two, and then hit with an Acrobatics. That's going to be really strong. Earthquake's there as well in case it's a rock type Pokemon, you can hit with the Acrobatics very well, and just generally stuff like that. So guys, I think that's everything that needs to be said in this episode of Pokemon DataDex. You can leave your suggestions for more Pokemon I can cover in the future in the comment section below, and make sure to check out all the other videos from other members of LumioseStation. That's all guys, I'll be seeing you next time. TheOneIntegral out.